to the stream. We should be live now. I have with me today, let's take this off of here, Ryan and Shelby from Segrest Farms. I want to thank you both for taking time out of your day to show up and answer some questions for us and interact a little bit.
Of course.
We appreciate that very much. It'll probably take a second for some people. I think Bob Steamthought is still going, so it may take a second. But hey, Diego Petzotics, welcome. Glad to have you here. We'll give it just a few minutes for people to roll in. YouTube has just now pushed the notification out. Sometimes it takes them 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
And we have Aquaballs, Gamer Veteran, the Zen Ginger, Nathan Alexander. Welcome you all.
Awesome.
Sweet guys.
And the Zen Ginger is my main moderator. She's my go-to gal.
Oh,
So
awesome.
she will be dropping the links for you all today.
Perfect.
Hey, Don Gallagher, welcome. Glad to have you. Daryl. Zen, I should have all of the links for you in the description right at the very top for ease of access. And I appreciate you helping out today with the stream. Let me get back on here. Mike, I appreciate you swinging by to show support the Fish Tank Barn. I hope you have a good day. Don't work too hard. Give it just a minute. Let some people pile in here. I don't want to waste too much of you all's time, but I also want to give YouTube notifications are a little delayed at times, so we'll give some people some time to roll in.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say.
While we're letting people roll through the door, do you all want to tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you do with Segrest?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, of course, my name is Ryan Cessna. I'm here, one of the sales reps and a prospector as well for Segrest Farms. So pretty much, I do have my client base, of course, with all the customers and stuff throughout the United States with all the fish stores. So, of course, I'm going to be helping them get all their fish and selling fish to them, of course, throwing out different ideas and the same aspect, receiving ideas from customers and stuff like that from what their customers want. So that way we can get some requests in and stuff like that and get Segrest Farms and, of course, everyone else some new fish. And of course, the second job I have as well is being the prospector. So anyone that's wanting to set up a new store, of course, they would they go to segrestfarms.com and they'd submit a request saying, hey, pretty much I'm looking to get my store set up with some website, with some access to your guys' wholesale account, stuff like that. So of course, I'd be kind of venting them a little bit, figuring out, if they have all the documents, sending them some documents to fill out, getting some pictures of the store and stuff like that, just to make sure everything's good to go. So. Yep.
Fantastic. Awesome.
Yeah, quite a few things. Yeah.
Yep, and come up, you may see Ryan and his co-partner Becca at trade shows and events like that. So
sure.
You get a chance to meet Ryan in person if you start going to those shows. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that too.
Up and coming.
Yes. 2020.
Yeah. You are Shelby, from what I understand, basically the face of Segrest, if you will.
Yeah.
Fishy face, yes.
Yep.
So I'm Shelby Standard. I am the brand manager here at Segrest Farms. I also have another co-brand manager that handles 2 different branches of what we do. So my job is to the social media, retailer education, hobbyist education, really all the outpouring and outreach and staying in that grassroots connection with the hobbyists out there. So I love what I do. It's I'd say one of our solid foundations of Segrest is staying in the loop and staying a part of, what makes us Segrest. So.
Yep.
Well, that's phenomenal. That sounds like an awesome job to have, both of you.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
So a little bit about Segrest. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but can you kind of tell us about the size of your operation? From what I understand, you are the largest importer of fish in the United States. Is that correct?
We have a few fish.
Yeah, we have quite a few fish. Absolutely. Yeah. So like what we were talking about is that we got we started off with fresh. We started off with freshwater, and it wasn't until the late 80s that we started doing saltwater. But of course, and that just brought on more importers from more different countries, of course, helping us become the largest importer in the U.S. So yeah, like I was saying, predominantly freshwater is what we do. We specialize in different exotic fish in freshwater, as well as saltwater industry as well. But yeah, no, there's a lot of different aspects that go into that. So no, I'm just glad that we have became that to where we've gotten. So.
Yeah, this all started in 1961, and Elwin Segrest had 12 tanks in his basement, raising angelfish. That's what started this. So Segrest started at a very humble beginning with comments just like you guys. Just a very driven person that, this is what he was going to do, and he got well known. He started collecting with raw sockaloff, so all you fish nerds out there probably perked your ears up at that name. So Greg Hockshoe is another person he collected with. So Ellen has a really deep-rooted history with some of the foundational people in the hobby.
Awesome. That's come a long way from 12 tanks.
Yes.
Do you know approximately how many different countries you all have sending imports into you?
I believe it's a little over 30.
A little over 30 every single week. So that's not just yearly, that's every single week. We get excited, it's like Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
That is that's a lot of fish coming in. Now I know you said that it had its foundations in freshwater. Are you still seeing that you have a bigger freshwater market, or would you say that saltwater has competed or passed that?
Well, I'd definitely say it took us a while to get saltwater where it was at, especially starting in freshwater. But I would say it'd probably be around a 60% freshwater, 40% saltwaters in sales.
What we're finding in saltwater too is, as the hobby has grown in education, that the saltwater hobby, as far as understanding the whole ecosystem. So it's not just fish, it's not just corals, it's everything that goes within it. So as the hobby grows and becomes that, more aware of that, so do we.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of advances in saltwater to get the hobby to where it has been. So,
yes, it has definitely come a long way. When you say it's about 60-40, is that kind of based off of a dollar percentage or a sheer number of fish and corals coming in and out?
A little bit of both, right?
Yeah, no, there's
a little bit of both. Okay.
Yeah. Depends on if that clear red angel you see at the store for well, 10,000 bucks.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That is a lot. Yes. Oh gosh, yeah.
What would you all say is your number one selling fish species that you all send out?
That's a tough one.
So neons and common plecos. That's number 1 and 2 by volume of sales. So you can't beat that classic neon tetra that's been around since a long
the beginning.
Time. The beginning. And the challenge to figure out how to tank raise that fish. I remember Sandy talking about how she went to China to figure out there was a specific breeder over there, and they wanted to go test the water that this gentleman was raising neon tetras in. And that's what they did. They went and tested the water and figured out kind of how to do that, and brought neon tetras to being raised in Florida. So. That is definitely the token fish.
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. That's phenomenal. I guess I'm not surprised that common plecos is right up there with the neon tetras.
Everybody thinks you need
everyone needs a sucker fish in the tank. Let's say plus it's probably one of the most commonly raised fish in the ponds here in Florida. So that's definitely what makes it a lot easier, so.
Gotcha. Can you tell us, without disclosing anything, I guess, what your most expensive fish might be on your freshwater and your saltwater sides?
Well, that varies, honestly. That can vary on a weekly basis sometimes. I'd say, as of right now, the most expensive freshwater, hard to say fish, but it would be like the stingrays, for example, the falconized stingray pairs that we have. So, I mean, that'd probably retail. I've seen them online a little over $5,000 on pairs of those guys. I mean, then again, like talking about the plecos, we had like the super white hypocanthus pleco.
$1,000 fish.
Easily, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that'd be generous, you know what I mean? So there's that, like I said, but those 2 fish could sell tomorrow, and then we'd be right back at square one with the next most expensive fish. And being that we just got a Czech Republic order in, I'm not even sure what the prices on these guys are yet, but I'd assume that there's going to be some pretty hefty ones in there.
Gotcha. Do you have anything that has come through that would stick out in your mind as, like, say, one ridiculously expensive fish, like a $15,000? Anything that's ever come through that you're just like, even for me, this is shocking?
Yeah. Well, it depends if we're talking fresh or salt. Saltwater, we've seen some things come in that have just blindly astonished us. Like we had a tiger angel come in that was, I mean, probably 6 inches across. And I've never seen one before. That thing was gorgeous, And I've seen those guys go online for almost like what a peppermint angel would be, which would be anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 just for a saltwater angelfish. So, But freshwater wise, that's another tough one. Like we have the black tropical gar still,
Yes.
and that's pretty much a gar that's almost a foot long, that is just solid black. Something that you hardly ever see in the industry. Yes, another fish that go upwards to a little more than $1,000. So.
Gotcha. And that was another thing I wanted to talk to you about, was kind of perspective. As a hobbyist, we have things that for us are uncommon or sometimes seem unattainable. But you all see so many different things on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about like your perspective on what a lot of hobbyists would consider to be their dream fish or possibly unattainable fish?
Absolutely, yeah. So, I was watching one of your live streams the other day, and it was about the dream fish and stuff like that. And, of course, me and Shelby both started out as hobbyists, so we were in the same industry. I was started out as a hobbyist and then went to a fish store, then went and got my degree and then went to a fish farm and then to a coral place and then actually ended up back here at Segrest. So between all of that, what to me was a rare fish kind of grew and grew and grew at each place I went. So at first, like I was actually one of your followers that talked about, like some rice fish and, daisy rice fish or Japanese rice fish, or, like the zebra plico. Both of those was things that I've never seen as a hobbyist. So I would 100% agree on that being a dream fish, but like, today on just some of the orders, we have, Pisto pairs, we have Endler pairs, live bears and stuff like that. So to me, even working here, those are still outstanding fish that I see all the time. But, looking at it in a hobbyist perspective, I could absolutely see that being a dream fish, but like you were saying, it's almost, being in a wholesale company, you're blinded by what could be a dream fish. Because like you were saying, it's stuff that you see all the time.
We get quote unquote used to it.
Yeah,
we're a bit spoiled.
We get used to it. Yeah, we're spoiled. Exactly. You couldn't put a better word to it. Yeah, absolutely.
So
those are all fish that I'd love
that
to see people request and stuff like that. Because that's one of the things is we can get all these rare fish all we want. But at the same time, it's up to the customers and the hobbyists and stuff like that to want those fish and to see those fish, to know what they really are. Like if I told you that we had some fire red agassiz pisto pairs, most people would be like, yeah, exactly. And most people would be like, what is a pisto, or what is a fire red agassiz or a cockatoide or something like that? Most people would, turn their head and start Googling it and stuff like that. But actually seeing it in the store is a whole new ballgame. You know what I mean? So, but just getting into that store is the hard part, because a lot of people, especially local fish stores, they don't know if they can sell a fish like that. That's pretty expensive as a pair, because most of the time people, first off, don't know about it. So no one's going to request it because they don't know about it. So that's one of the things that Shelby works on in marketing is putting those fish out there for everybody to see. That way they can go to their local fish store and say, hey, I saw this on Segrest's website. Shelby was doing a live video on it. I really want it. I need you to get it.
So, absolutely. And that kind of touches on something you and I had discussed a little bit previously, which was requesting things at your local fish store, and that trying to get your local fish store to have a request list, because there are a lot of things that we aren't even aware that we can get, or maybe we're intimidated or don't feel like we have the option to ask for things.
Right. And that's intimidation. That's a huge key of it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of stores will have a special order policy, so I say reach out to them and find out what that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
What store's comfortable bringing it, and kind of understand there's logistics for the store too. Yeah. So it may take some time, and it may be a seasonal animal for us, but it doesn't mean it's not something we usually can't.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Obtain.
And with that as well, I know even being a manager at a fish store and things like that, and being someone that people brought fish requests to, it can be a very touchy subject, because a lot of times, let's say it's just a customer that walks through the door, you've only seen them one time, and they want a pretty expensive fish. You're going to be a little hesitant on buying that fish, because you don't know if they're going to come back, or you don't know if they're still going to want it, or if they went to another fish store and found it and things like that. So of course there are going to be hesitations towards that. So I'd say, as a customer to any local fish store, if you're requesting a fish, I'd go back and visit every once in a while just to see if they've worked on it, or if they found it, or even just to check in and see what they have available as well. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm very blessed to have a good working relationship with my LFS, where I can kind of say, hey, what do you have on your Segrest order this week? And peek at the list.
Absolutely.
But not everybody has that, and I understand that. So it can be a little bit of a daunting task at first. But I agree 100%. Getting to know that store certainly opens up some avenues. And understanding that, like you pointed out, if you're going to request inexpensive fish, even be prepared to say, hey, I understand this is going to be expensive for you. Do you require any type of, upfront payment on it?
Absolutely. Yeah, showing more interest in it absolutely helps.
So I wanted to ask you all a little bit about, because I don't want to miss this opportunity. Can you tell us a little bit about you all's connection with Project Piaba and kind of the relationship you've established with them?
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So the Project Piaba is a very important project for Segrest because, you know, it started out really with just knowing the availability of fish and stuff like that. So whenever we were looking around and our president was looking to find fish that we could give to stores on a, you know, consistent basis, you know, for example, all the fish that are on the Project Piaba, you know, that list mainly, those fish are only available for the most part for a certain time of the year. So, you know, when it comes to a company buying stuff like that, they really want to look for something they can buy all the time and when it's needed, you know. So, because stores, they don't really know that, well, it's only available for this amount of time. So they just want that fish all the time. So we were looking into places. Yeah, exactly. A cardinal tetra, you know. So looking into people that can tank raised fish was very important. So we were looking at, well, if we can get these fish tank raised, then we can have them all the time of the year. And it wasn't until our president, Sandy Moore, went down and visited Piaba and found out what exactly it was that was going on. And that being the fact that in Piaba, their main source of income is the fish that they collect and sell. So we found out that if we weren't going to be buying fish from them, then what else would happen to the Amazon? If they weren't, you know, if they weren't collecting fish in there and selling fish, you know, that being, of course, their main source of income, what was going to happen to the environment? So that being said, if we stopped buying Project Piaba fish, if no one bought Project Piaba fish, then what would happen to the Amazon and the river? Which more likely would be, you know, them tearing down the Amazon, making cattle farms or making gold mines and polluting the whole river. Right. So again, that's why it's such an important project to us, is because it's mainly for conserving the environment and making sure that the Amazon is still up running. People having jobs down there, collecting fish, again, supporting the hobby. You know, so again, that's just one of the most important things that we really like to focus on, is keeping the environment perfect for all the fish to come. Absolutely. Do you have anything else you want to touch base on with the Project Piaba?
No, I think you put it in a really good nutshell there. You know, I think it's a double-edged sword because yes, of course, tank raising is important and tank raised lines are fantastic. You can do a lot with that. But if you don't have the wild collection to bring your brood stock in, that's also another point.
Right.
And you lose that habitat forever. You know, these people have been fishing for 5 generations. This is what they do. And that builds that they want to become environmentally sound. They're not going to overfish their area because that's their livelihood.
Right.
They're going to keep it clean. They're going to actually teach other people how to care for that environment generationally, because that again is their livelihood. So it's a win-win situation. We work very closely with and we visit them and they visit us, and you know, how can we build a stronger supply chain, and in the end the hobbies benefit from that.
Right.
And save the rain. That's 52,000 acres of rainforest.
Yes. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't, I guess, take into account it doesn't just affect the fish. You know, once you impact
absolutely, yeah.
You know, like you said, with the forestry and stuff, you get into the whole ecosystem of the land animals and all of that.
Absolutely.
So,
it's not even just the fish at that 100%.
Point. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about, let's say I come to you, I've shown interest, I'm wanting to open up an account with Segrest. What are some of the requirements and how one would go about that process?
So of course, there's a few things that play into that. You know,
you gotta like fish.
Yeah, you gotta like fish. You have to you have to make sure you know those fish and you like those fish. Right. So that's the first thing I check off the list. Oh man, but you know, honestly, with that, there's a lot of things that have to fall into place. You know, even before you even look for a store, you have to make sure that you have the proper documentation from the government. You know, business license, resale license, tax IDs, and stuff like that. You know, to start off with as a basis, and then you can find a store. Once you open up that store, it's going to take a while to get the, you know, most of the time you don't even know what the store was beforehand. I mean, it could be a massage parlor for all you know. You know, then you have to pretty much plumb the whole place and get the electricity going through the whole place, make it the way you want it to be, set up the tanks, set up the stands, set up your dry good walls and all that stuff. So it usually takes quite a bit to get to that point. And I'm really going to be there through the progress of it to make sure that it's going. Yeah, exactly. Just to make sure it's all going smoothly. You know, and once someone shows interest, like you were saying, you can go on to segrestfarms.com. They can apply for the application, and as soon as they do, either me or Becca, like she was talking about, will get it. And that way we can start talking to them, sending them emails saying, hey, you know, let me see some pictures of the store. Let me see how it's going. You have the documentations. I'll send them a few documents that they can sign and get down for us as well, so we have something on file. You know, so there's quite a bit of things that go into it, and of course, a lot of people think it's a lot of extra steps, but they are steps that are, you know, of course, well needed and will affect them pretty well in the future. You know, that way they can start doing business with us. So, and of course, I always want to get more pin requests. I look forward to requests every single day. I want to see new stores opening up, you know. And of course, I do get a lot of requests from, you know, sometimes hobbyists or people that are selling out of their basements or their houses and stuff like that. And it's not like I'd frown upon that, because I don't. You know, like Shelby was saying, that's how we started. That's how Segrest Farms started, was out of a garage, out of the basement. You know, so unfortunately we can't set them up because they have to have a commercial store on commercial property to do that. You know, and a lot of the times, let's say I was to set up someone that was selling out of their basement, you know, it would directly affect the local fish stores in the area, because whereas a local fish store that's on a commercial property, they're paying rent, they're paying their water, they're paying for electricity, they're paying their employees. They have a lot of overhead to take care of that just working out of your house you wouldn't, because all the people that own stores, they have that and their house to pay for. You know, so to whereas a fish store, they mark up their fish, they don't really mark it up a lot just so that they can make profit and make a bunch of money off fish. It's not necessarily what it's for. Is to cover that, is to cover their bills, just to make sure that they can run that shop right. So if I did set up someone that was working out of their basement or just selling fish online and stuff like that, it would heavily impact the local fish stores, because that means they wouldn't have to mark those fish up, which would in turn compete with the local fish stores. And it's happened a lot in the past.
Absolutely.
Where people do, you know, from not just us, from other accounts out there, and they can set up accounts and they don't need to charge that much. So that can shut down a local fish store, which of course Segrest, we heavily support local fish stores. We want to see more of them. So, and I never turn them down 100%. Completely. I always tell them, I want you to, you know, once you get that customer base up, no problem selling out of your house. Once you get enough, you can go ahead and move on to a fish store, and I'd be right there to help you.
We're good.
Yeah. So.
Gotcha. You broke up a little bit on me, but I think I've still got you. I don't see anything in the chat, so I think it came through good on that end. Yeah, that no, it's. I'm glad that you all have that amount of support for the local fish stores and trying to make sure that they survive and are maintained.
And that's where you go to get inspired, you know, when you see a big play tank. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this. Let's say you have something or someone that's setting up, they have the proper zoning, they have their business licenses, their tax, all of the paperwork in order, that is wanting to set up, say, an online store. Is that something that you all accommodate, or is that something you look at and go, no, there's a potential for you to compete locally?
Online is just not something we're.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that can be a very touchy subject as well, you know, because there are a lot of large online sales, you know, some of which are working out of commercial properties, and instead of, you know, they can be open to the public and also be selling online. So it's not like I would decline every single one of them. If they still fit the criteria and sell online, then that's great for them. So.
Gotcha. Okay. So I've got a couple questions. I don't know if you'll be able to give us answers without giving away trade secrets. But we had some questions pertaining to any potential in-house innovations or things that you all have planned to help stay competitive in the market.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely. We're always growing.
Are you still there?
Yeah. Are you there?
Let's see.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Well, I may have.
Oh. We need signals.
Yeah.
I've got you back now, but it's kind of spotty.
All right.
I think the viewers have you, so that's the important thing.
Good. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of
it
things.
Appears we.
This is a farm, so
we are on
a farm.
Wouldn't doubt that one bit.
Absolutely. I think I've got you back. It looks like we're not. No, it's cut out again. I don't know.
It's all good.
Yeah, we're here.
If you want to try disconnecting and joining back, I will add you right back in.
Okay, I can do that.
All right. Yeah, it is buffering on YouTube. Okay. All right. There we go. Now I'm getting some feedback. They're going to jump right back on. Good. As long as you all can hear, I will just carry on when they hop back on there. All right. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't getting the responses in the chat at the moment. Let me send him another link on Facebook. Real quick, apologies. The joys of technology. Those of you that I missed joining for the stream today, use the time that we had with Segrest as best as possible. Close that. All right. All right. So here's what we're going to do, since there's there's some people saying that it is my end. We are going to go mobile with this right here, and I'm going to rewire my connection. Hopefully my mic will hold up.
And it just shuts down. Oh, it looks like they can see us, but we can't see them. Oh man.
We could host the stream, huh?
Yeah, right. I was saying.
I don't have to do it.
Okay, looks like you sent another stream.
All right.
Okay. Apologies, folks. Everything went fine during the practice run. All right.
We're back.
Look at that. There we go. Can you hear us fine?
All right.
All right.
You fixed that. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened there. I know everything went fine during our practice streams. I had changed
Yeah, of course.
one of my fish rooms and hardwired in, so hopefully that will help. Normally the Wi-Fi doesn't give me any issues, but they may be doing some work that people may be going.
Gotcha.
We got it.
Let me fix my audio, because you're coming through just fine, but I'm not actually hearing you. If you wanted to, this would be a fantastic opportunity. If anyone in the chat has any questions, if you all want to grab those,
absolutely.
I'll get my audio fixed so that I can hear you, because you are coming through fine. It's just a tech issue on my end at this moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anyone has sent chats, because we haven't seen any just quite yet, but we're more than happy to get them.
All right. I think I've got it fixed now.
All right.
All right.
Perfect. I can hear you. Apologies for that.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, that's the way it seems to work. You know, we do a practice run and everything's all good, and then
Smooth sailing.
go live and things break down. I appreciate you all bearing with me on that. So in terms of new stock that you all get in, I'm sure you see brand new things every day. Do you get things that come in that surprise you that you're like, wow, I've not seen this before. I haven't seen this
all the time.
Every time, all day long.
All the time.
And sometimes it's not just something new. Sometimes it'll be something that came in exceptionally well, or the Angelicus catfish I have in the studio right now.
Yes.
I actually put it back there so I don't buy him. So he's for sale. Someone please buy him. I don't think
Please.
but he just has an exceptional pattern. He's got these little gold spots.
Absolutely.
Versus the leucistic ripsaw catfish.
Oh God, yeah.
That's a rare fish.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So,
especially coming from the wild, it's very rare you'll see a white fish coming from the wild. So that honestly dropped my jaw.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All the time.
Yeah.
There are still some surprises that you all see. You haven't gotten, I guess, jaded to it after thousands and thousands of fish.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And honestly, it's just the excitement of knowing that a certain shipment is coming in that can leave us waiting. You know, like for example, we just got a shipment from Congo in, and that's a shipment that we rarely see. So the fact that it came in good, and we got a lot of new stuff that we haven't had before was amazing. Because you'd be surprised on how many times that we have to add new things to the stock list, and things that we've never had before, and it's one of the best things to see. So.
And see, that's something I think a lot of times from our end, as a hobbyist perspective, we don't really get to see, because kind of what Shelby touched on, the stores get used to ordering the safe things that they know they can sell.
Yep.
So we get used to seeing the same old thing every time we walk into the store as your standard catfish and angels and stuff like that. So I think that there's definitely, as you mentioned, the need as hobbyists for us to kind of push, if you will, our local fish stores, show them that there is an interest in things besides those staple fish, if you will.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. And I've gotten some crazy requests from some stores, and you know, a lot of the times the people that request some fish, it's a fish that's new to me. It's something I haven't seen before. That's another reason I really enjoy getting requests and stuff. You know, so it never ceases to surprise me what some people are looking for. You know, all it takes is to see a really cool picture on Google.
Yeah, and even some of our local stuff. We have on top of this property, if you come for a tour, this is just shipping and receiving, and we're 5 acres.
Right.
On top of that, we have 250 acres of farmland, as well as 5,000 bats. So we produce about 10% of our own freshwater fish, and then there's several very, very good farms in Florida. Also, like the tiger severn that just came in. That thing is huge.
It is massive.
It is gorgeous, and that's just down the road. So it's not always the imports that are the impressive things.
Absolutely.
You know, there's some really great domestic things that come in as well.
Yeah, come right out of our backyard.
I know you said you both started out as hobbyists on your journey in getting the Segrest. Do either of you and or both of you still keep aquariums at home?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I have 3 saltwater tanks and 1 freshwater tank at my house. A lot of eels. I like eels.
Yeah, I actually, so I've come from here. If you don't understand, I can flip it because we're from here.
Yeah.
So I'm a good old Michigan girl. I was at Cruise Pets for 15 years up there where it's snowing in the north. So I left to take this job. And this is, you know, it was a really great transition. Cruises was fantastic, and Segrest has been fantastic. But one sad thing is you don't have basements down here. So sad to sell my 180 by 29. I had 180 line down. The basement full of fish. So currently I have my 90 gallon. And then when I settle into my home, then I'll have many more.
Yeah, of course, more to come.
I'll build a shed.
Oh God, somebody called it a she shed. I call it a fish shed.
A fish shed. It's a fish shed. That's what they're for.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and where some people need heaters in their tanks, we need chillers.
We need chillers.
Which are unfortunately a lot more expensive than heaters.
I know.
Most of the time.
Max lows are no good.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I was trying to catch up on the chat there. I had something that caught my attention. Father Fish, glad to have you.
Oh, hello, how are you?
Said Phoenix Aquarium Society is very grateful for the donation to our Christmas auction. Benefits Segrest has been a great friend.
Oh,
Awesome.
fantastic. That's
Thank you
great.
so much.
They just came and picked up their fish. I actually did the tour for the 2 ladies that came and picked them up.
Oh, really?
They were an absolute hoot. They were pleco girls. And let me tell you, those ladies knew everything you could ever want to know about plecos. So
God, I love when people like that come in.
that was really fun.
Yeah.
Our purchasing team actually handpicked the fish for them. So it was a really great.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
A lot of fun we did. So thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's phenomenal. I don't think people really knew or realized how much you all try and help out, you know, the hobby at the local fish store and at the hobbyist end of things.
Yeah.
A lot of times when we think of larger companies, we see them more as commercial entities versus hobbyists,
Right.
and, you know, being helpers of the community. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll say definitely one of our top goals is to make sure that all the local fish stores stay alive for all the hobbyists to come.
Yep, I know those then.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of our stores, it's neat to see, you know, when they've been with us a decade, 2 decades, 3
Absolutely.
decades,
Absolutely.
and have grown up with the sales rep.
No, for sure.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Julie, I know.
Yeah,
Half
exactly.
the stores that have been with her since
Absolutely.
she started here.
And that's exactly it too. And so, I mean, one of the most important things to us as sales reps is that, you know, we try to not just build our client, build our customers, and build the local fish stores, but to keep more people coming to them. You know, so you know, a lot of the rules that we follow here at Segrest is like when us as sales reps, we don't really like to look at ourselves as sales reps. We like to look at each other as business partners for each fish store. You know, because we're not there necessarily just to say, hey, here you go, here's some fish. It's, hey, you know, how's everyone been doing at your store? Has the crew been working good? Has everyone been good? You know, have you been doing good? Your family? Is the store going good? Is there any people that have been coming in asking for things or questions that you might need help with and stuff like that? Because I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've helped you know, local fish store owners answer questions that they might not have known. So
if we don't know, we've got to plug our people.
Oh yeah, I'm about to say exactly. If the sales rep doesn't know, there's someone you know, a voice's distance away that will.
Gotcha. And then we have HC Aqua at Segrest Farms. Which side of the business is doing better for you, saltwater or fresh? Which I think we touched on a little bit with percentages, but if you want to recap that or go over that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's one doing better than the other. It's just we tend, because we started fresh, we have a larger, I don't want to say variety, but we have a larger variety of fresh because that was what we built our foundation.
Exactly. We have more tanks fresh in that as well. You know, our freshwater side of the farm is a lot bigger because, of course, that's what we started at and grew for the majority
I never
of it.
thought they'd outgrow that.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So yeah, absolutely. And like I said, like she was just saying, you know, I wouldn't say it's a variety thing or a quantity at all. It's just, you know, it's what we have more room for at this very time, you know, is freshwater. Not saying that we're not going to expand saltwater, because that's something that we're probably looking into.
And definitely, I'd say with supply chains, as we go and visit, you know, we've definitely gained substantial variety in saltwater.
Absolutely.
A year and a half to 2 years, salt has really been leaps and bounds.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And Donnie NY Gold has a wonderful question. At Segrest Farms, what percentage of breeding do you do compared to importing fish?
Yeah. So saltwater, we don't personally, we don't raise any fish as far as Segrest goes. We do purchase tank raised marine fish.
Absolutely.
About 11% of our business is sustainably it's tank raised marine fish, and about 89% is sustainably wild collected, and that's saltwater.
Right. Freshwater
is about flip, where about 5% is going to be sustainably wild collected, and 95% tank raised. So yeah. So we breed about 10% of our own freshwater fish. So of the 1 million fish a week we sell, it's 1 million a week. 10% of the freshwater fish are raised right here on our own personal farms.
Wow, 1 million a week, if I heard that correctly.
Yeah.
And in the winter that amps up a bit. So
that's
the average baseline.
That is a lot of fish in most.
Yes.
Yeah. On any given time on this list that Ryan sends out every day to his customers, it has over about 1,000 different varieties on it.
Yep.
But usually, I'd say 1,200 to 1,500 is what we average each week that we send out as far as options.
Right.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
50 pages.
Yeah, 50 pages long. Absolutely.
We did touch a little bit on that. Well, we touched a decent bit on this. So to answer that, or I could let you answer that again, but I would say the best thing to do would be to contact your LFS and get them to request that. Would that be?
Absolutely.
because just in summation, you all do not sell to individuals. You sell to
Right.
local fish stores, people that have the business licensing and things and have set up agreements with you. But as I've talked to you before, you're more than happy to, like, say you posted a pleco. If I sent you a message and, you know, my LFS was willing to order that fish, you would be happy to get
Absolutely.
that on the order list.
Absolutely.
The store just calls their rep. And the great thing about these requests, so if this is a fish we didn't have in stock or don't have or do have in stock, if your store actually puts that request in, that flags the sales rep as well as flags our purchasing team. So getting the store to submit that actually electronically does a couple of things that alerts us that someone's looking for that fish.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's exactly what Shelby was saying. That is one of the things that we do. Whenever someone does have a request, you know, let's say my local fish store, you know, they reach out to me saying, hey, I'm looking for this specific fish, you know, like let's just say a zebra pleco. We might not have it in stock at that very time, but what I'll do is I'll put that in, like what Shelby was saying, is I'll put it in, and as soon as I do that, it pretty much saves it. That way, our, you know, what she was saying, our buyers know about it, the store knows about it, I know about it. That way, it's not something that, you know, gets just under the table. Yeah, it's not something that we just like, oh yeah, he wants this, cool. Yeah, no, and the best thing about it is that whenever that item comes into stock, it'll actually send the fish store an email saying, hey, that zebra pleco that you added has just came into stock. Contact your sales rep. That way you can go ahead and purchase it, and we'll go ahead and set it aside. And most of the time, when I get that email as well, I'll go ahead and call that store. Hey, I don't know if you got the email, but that zebra pleco just came in. Do you want me to go ahead and set it aside for you? So
it's much more advanced than a post-it note on your wall above your desk.
Absolutely.
It doesn't commit the store to the fish either. You know,
yeah,
so
exactly.
It doesn't mean that fish is automatically added to that next order. It just gives us the store a chance to get that fish that they requested.
Absolutely. You know, so that goes back to the same thing as well. Please make sure that you're going to your fish stores and requesting things. That's a huge thing I'd love to push on every hobbyist out there, is that if there's a dream fish you want, make sure you tell every fish store around you that you want that fish. That way you can get it. Because there's nothing that'd make me happier than seeing every hobbyist out there get their dream fish. So.
Yes, and I think that is phenomenal. You certainly opened my eyes in some of the things we talked about during this and before about availability that I wasn't aware was there. Diego with Pet Exotics asked, at Segrest Farms, will you be putting out more videos on YouTube on a regular basis?
It's funny you say this. I'm actually revamping the entire social media. We now have a big calendar. We work with the other central brands as well. So between Aqueon, KT, and Zilla, they do some really great outreach as well. So you're going to start to see some neat cross-promotional things. So we are actually, the YouTube reboot is in the works. So yes.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. And there's Ginger has the links. We have links for both the Segrest Farms YouTube page as well as Ryan's YouTube page, which is brand new, just started the other day. Looking for
my first followers right there.
One subscriber here. I was proud to do that. So I'm looking forward to seeing some more things, because I've talked to you all about off camera. I'm horrible with Facebook. So whereas I know that you do a lot of live things, Shelby, on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
I don't see those things because I'm so rare portion of the social media. So I think that would be phenomenal to have a little bit more YouTube outreach to kind of catch that audience that tries to avoid Facebook. As much as I understand, every platform has its need. You know, there are people that will never go to YouTube that solely enjoy you all on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can talk about fish on whatever channel it is. They put me out there.
Yeah, I say let's do it. Sign me up. You know, and that being said too, you know, because I have, of course, the Ryan Sesson Segrest Farms Instagram, and of course the Ryan Sesson Segrest Farms Facebook. So if any hobbyists out there, you're more than welcome to follow both of those, just to see what kind of new fish and new coral and stuff like that we're getting in, that you could go to your local fish store with and say, hey, look, Ryan Sesson from Segrest Farms just posted this amazing xanthic talking cat or walking catfish, and I want it. So use it to your advantage. Follow the pages and stuff like that, just to get the inside scoop of what Segrest has.
Yep. And we have the Segrest Instagram as well as the Facebook.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to reach Segrest Farms, you will.
Jeremy and Morel asked, do you ever get large ropefish imports in from Africa? Have you ever thought of trying to breed them? We have a YouTuber who's hard at work on it, but she's in search of large breeding size adults.
I mean, the biggest I've seen is maybe a foot is what comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And we would look at into breeding an animal. There's several things we're going to look at. And really comes down to protecting our farmers and taking care of our local farmers that we work with. So if this is going to be an animal that's going to demand high volume or high dollar, then we're going to put it through kind of a pipeline, which takes some time.
Of course, yeah.
Because if we're going to take that pond and utilize it for a rare fish, but we're only going to sell a very small volume of, we've now taken that farmer's revenue where you could have grown blowlight tetras.
Yeah,
and you could have made that pond worth the land that it's on. So as far as rearing that animal on our own, it's probably not something we'll look into, but that's where we have really great local breeders, or we have the Czech Republic. Those guys are the ones that have the time and the smaller footprints to kind of work on the specialized fish.
Absolutely.
So no, I haven't seen much over a foot, but that's why we probably won't consider breeding something as oddball as that is because of the way the logistics work with those farmers, making sure that they get the revenue out of the ponds that they put in their backyard.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Here's another good question. Self and Aquatics asks, do you guys have any wild fish you specialize in?
Logan.
Oh man, wild fish you specialize in. Wow, that's a tough one.
Dave has an absolute thought. If you put a wild angelfish on the list, we know our purchaser is going to buy that fish all day long. So
absolutely. Any Altums?
Altums. We have Rio Nenes I just put in.
Oh God, those are
on
big.
The studio live
last
night. They're huge. Goodness, that is a loaded question.
That is. I'm just saying we could go on with that list of wild fish that you specialize in. I mean, we try to specialize in every fish that we get.
That's a problem.
Yeah, exactly, and it is. And like you brought up live bears too, specifically live bears. We just got some embers and we've got a couple. We got them in pairs, luckily too, like tiger embers and stuff like that. They're ones that we don't really see a whole lot. I think I even have them right here. Yeah, we have tiger spade tail live bears, the endlers. We have the the Santa Maria bleeding heart endlers. I've honestly never seen those before. And we had one more that I'm not seeing on the list, but holy cow, it was one of the nicest. Oh, there it is. The Ginjaruba endler is another outstanding Embler tetra that I haven't seen. And a matter of fact, I don't know if any of you guys have followed my Facebook page, but I just posted up a tank that I just set up on my desk with a really nice piece of bonsai wood that we got from Sun Pet. And I put some flame moss on it and stuff like that. And I was asking, what do you guys think I should put in there? But as soon as I saw these endlers, I was like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm putting pairs of endlers in there.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. That is awesome. I think this was just an autocorrect that was meant to say Segrest instead of Seachem.
Oh, that's all good.
But do you find yourselves dealing with the Asian fish farms?
We actually source quite a few of our fish from there. And the really great thing about those farms, if you look at Florida farming, we're blessed with this beautiful water table that autofills our ponds. It's great.
Yes.
And then the Asian ponds are usually clay-based, but they have to pump the water in.
Right.
So it's two different climates and two different ways of raising tropical fish. But we may find a certain tetra does really, really well over in Asia, where they don't do as well down here in Florida. So yeah, we actually do heavily rely on a lot of our Asian
absolutely.
Fish
a lot of
farms.
very nice fish come from those Asian fish farms as well.
And Sandy's gone out. I have pictures of her standing up over the ponds. Sandy Moore, our president.
Yeah.
So when we go and we source these animals, we actually go and we vet these farms. What are they doing? How are they raising the animals? So it's not just us blindly, bringing fish in.
Yeah.
We want to know how they're doing it. And a lot of times what's cool is these are family-run farms.
Yeah.
So you really get to know the family, and we can build a 30-year relationship with them. So
getting Christmas cards from them is something
it's
that
really cool.
it's so nice. It's so amazing. It's something just as small as a little card, just knowing that they're thinking about you. So of course we send them right back. So that's another great thing. And of course, speaking with the fact that trying to look at what they're doing. Whenever we have a new importer that's collecting wild fish and stuff like that, we also vet them as well. And we'll go out there to make sure that they're collecting the fish in good ways. For example, if we found out that someone was catching fish with cyanide, we would immediately stop doing anything. They'd completely remove. So that's another thing we really, really heavily look for is how they're collecting the fish from the wild. Because one of the things that Segrest Farms prides ourselves in is, of course, the quality and dependability of the fish that we sell. So if we were getting fish that were caught with cyanide, obviously, that wouldn't be a very good quality fish. So we would not want to be selling that fish. We want to be, incorporated with people that are collecting fish the proper way and not harming anything or the ocean in that fact. So.
Gotcha. I've got an interesting question for you.
All right, bring it on.
On that note, it's nice to know that there's more than just the business aspect for you all. There's the actual environment and things that are important that are involved in the decision, just the dollar amount. So I wanted to shout out that. it's just phenomenal to hear that coming from a business.
Of course.
Says, how can I tactfully ask a LFS manager or owner if they purchase from Segrest and they are not readily giving up their suppliers freely?
Well, I mean, I work at Cruises, you know, and we weren't very candid with our suppliers, and that's really, you know, that was just how we like to run the business. We were kind of quiet about that because it was something private to the business.
Right.
But you can show them the species and say, hey, I saw this, and you can mention it's from Segrest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let them talk to you. Kind of, you know, they may not say, I'm going to get this animal from Segrest.
Yeah.
They may know that's exactly where the fish is going to come from.
Yeah.
So you don't have to pry too much as far as, you know, where do fish come from? Certainly show them, you know, this is where you saw the animal. But if they're going to be discreet about it, let them be discreet and respect that.
Absolutely.
You know, but if they can get you the fish, that's
the end goal. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I tackle do is, you know, understand that they may have some proprietary things, and some businesses are very open with it.
Right,
and
absolutely.
Some are not. But yeah, I just let them know that that's the species. This is where you saw it, and if that's something they say they can source, then don't worry too much about.
Yeah, exactly.
the logistics of it.
Yeah, of course, the goal is just to get you the fish that you want. You know, whether it comes from us or anyone else.
Absolutely, and I will say from a hobbyist perspective, having done that, versus requesting, you know, versus saying straight out, who are you getting your fish from? Kind of trying to point in that direction. Like, hey, I'm interested in these Project Piaba fish or this fish. It's available to Segrest Farms.
Yep.
You can access to that. So you don't come across as going, I want your information. It's, hey, can I get this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Just to add on from my perspective of having to do that in the past before.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see.
And if you ever go to a fish store that says, "Who is Segrest Farms?"
Oh well, then you need to talk.
Then you can, and you're like, "Hey, did you know that Segrest Farms?"
Yeah,
right.
We have 25,000 fish in our history, so
Right.
if you go to our history page on our website,
Mm-hmm.
you can pull up our catalog, and there's over 25,000 fish that we have ordered.
Yeah, so you can go on our website as a hobbyist just to see what we have. Not necessarily in stock at the moment, but we've had in the past. So.
Well, that's awesome. That is good to know. Self and Aquatics asks, do you have a wide selection of sailfin mollies? I'm in Orlando, but I can never find any good ones nearby, even if I request them.
So it really depends on what sailfin mollies you're looking for. So if you're looking for, you know, the really wild caught stuff, it's funny because it usually has to come from overseas, like a Czech Republic fish.
Absolutely.
So it's funny to think of a simple sailfin molly coming from.
Did we get any mollies?
So again, I'd ask your local fish store to order specifically which ones you're looking for, because I'm a nerd, and I just took home 6 big sailfin mollies last week.
Awesome.
You know, they were the nice big sunsets and golds and silvers. So it really depends on the sailfins you're looking for. So I'd say definitely request that specific species.
Right. You know, and honestly, whenever you're wanting stuff like that, giving a scientific name is something that makes it actually easier.
Much easier.
You know, because whenever our buyers are ordering fish, you know, of course they're not just ordering, you know, they're not going to see a jewel ciplet or a sunset sailfin. Their whole list is on scientific names. So, you know, you can always email me or send me a message on Facebook or Instagram or Shelby's Segrest Farms page, you know, anything like that. You know, you can message us, hey, I'm looking for this exact fish. Is this a possibility of you getting it? That way we can reach out directly to our buyer, and that way he can tell me, which 9 times out of 10, I've seen it on the list before. You know, haven't necessarily gotten it before. I might have not seen it in a while, but it's definitely something that we can look into.
Oh, good to know. I don't know if you can disclose necessarily or not, but Chewy LTD does have a question, and is in fact familiar with Asian farms, and is curious if you all are familiar with Feng Shui Aquatics over there. I don't know if that's something you can disclose or not.
I've heard of the name, but I'm quite honestly not familiar with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And we're removed from the purchasing side of things.
Yeah, exactly.
So the purchasing, we actually have a team here that purchases. So there's a team of domestic buyers and there's a team of import buyers.
Right.
So that's actually a very separate
exactly.
part of the company that we are privy to. So they might know, and I recognize the name, but they may just be from being on the internet.
It might have been someone that Sandy might have visited in the past. Yeah. So I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
It's the first time we've said that. Thank God.
So I don't want to go over our time with you. We've got about 7 minutes left. Is there anything from either of you all that you would like to press or to push or to touch on while you have the floor? Anything that maybe we haven't discussed or something you wanted to go over again?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely sound like a broken record when I'm telling you guys that, you know, whenever like we were talking before, I want to make sure that everyone in the hobby gets the fish that they want, you know. So, and I've been the hobbyist asking for fish, just like I'm sure all of you guys have, you know, and it can be such a hard thing to do, but consistency is key in something like that. Once, you know, exactly like when I was a manager and I had someone come in and asking, hey, listen, I'm looking for an epaulet shark. Can you get one? I'm like, you know, well, we could probably, you know, it's a possibility and stuff like that, but I'm not going to be actively looking and searching for one unless you came in all the time. Let's just say you came in every week. Hey, did you get that epaulet shark? Hey, did you get that epaulet shark? Did you get that epaulet shark? Honestly, I'd probably be more inclined to get it because I know this guy is determined on getting this shark. So I know that if I get this shark and he comes in next week, he will get it. You know, so consistency is definitely going to be something that helps. And of course, me as a salesperson, one thing that I've done pretty recently is I actually sent every one of my customers an Excel sheet that they could leave on their desk or on their counter or somewhere that you can see it as you're purchasing thing or just walking through the store. And it's simply just a list of this, you know, the species that you want, the size you want it, your name, your number, you know, a way to, you know, finding out a date when you ask for it, stuff like that. It's just an easy way to keep track because when I used to do it, I used to do sticky notes. I used to have them in my store and I used to write sticky notes down. So I know one thing's for sure is that a lot of the times a hobbyist or a customer won't request a fish because they don't know they can, you know, and seeing that in front of them, seeing that list that says, hey, you know, what would you like to see in the shop? You know, that right there, if I was a hobbyist or I was a customer and I went into a store and I saw a request list, I'd be all over it. I'd be like, I want this, I want this, I want this. And that's something that local fish store can reach back out to me. You can send me that list and say, hey, Ryan, listen, I had quite a few people actually write down some stuff on the special request list. Can you get it in? And that's when I send it right over to my buyers, whether it be my local or my imports, and then we can see when we can get it all in. And hopefully, you know, best case scenario, I can get all of that for every customer that there is. So of course, you know, like I said, I can't push it hard enough. If you have a fish that you really want, you know, definitely go to your fish stores and see if you can get it. You know, don't be hesitant on it.
Yeah, and that harkens back to the dry goods too. So, you know, if you're heavily supporting that store, you bought your setup there, you're buying your items there, you're getting your decor there, they're going to be much more active and really invest in you as an hobbyist.
Absolutely.
Than someone's coming in and just wanting the fish. It really goes back to supporting it in both directions.
Absolutely.
So the more you've got your footprint in that store, you know, the more you're going to be able to kind of build that bond and relationship with those.
Absolutely.
Those store
Yeah,
owners.
you couldn't have said it better. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is a fantastic point. Somebody that works in retail, I know who people are that I see all the time that spend the money, and the ones that walk in maybe once or twice a month, look around and walk back out the door. So yeah, that is fantastic advice.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that goes for, you know, let's say, I don't know if there's any fish store owners or anyone that works at a fish store that's actually, you know, watching this right now, but you know, if you do, don't hesitate to send any request to your sales rep, whether it be me or anybody else. We're all just as happy to help you out. So
yeah. And Bob Kaler at Kaler's Aquatics did have a point. The lists have wholesale prices, so you have to be careful with that info. The lists that I have seen at my LFS, they have drop-down menus that actually say show pricing. So when I'm in privy to those things, I don't see the price. It just has the option to show the price.
Yeah, that's how it is. Like if you were to go to segrestfarms.com, it'd show you what we've had in the past, but you'd have to have login information that, you know, we would supply with one of our customers to actually log in as a store owner and look at the prices and stuff like that. So, you know.
Yeah, so as a hobbyist, you can go on our site, but it won't show pricing.
Right, right.
If I can sneak it in here real quick, Jeremy Morell again asked, how do you diagnose and treat diseases in your facility, and what's your take on how meds are available to and used by the average hobbyist?
So in a nutshell, we have a lab staff of 5 here. James, our lab head, has been here, 27 years.
Yeah.
We have the University of Florida Tropical Aquaculture Lab just down the road. If you're unfamiliar with them, they're partnered with the Rising Tide. They have the original, dare I say, dory fish. The hippo tanks. They have the original parents.
I was lucky enough to work with them on that too.
Actually, Ryan was very close. He worked at the lab.
Yeah.
So the outpouring of people we have to reach out to as far as disease and health is incredible, and our lab staff is built of some incredibly intelligent.
Absolutely. They blow me away every day.
What's wrong with this fish? And I get a Latin game that's long enough. All right, how do I fix it?
Oh gosh.
So as far as how we treat diseases here, it takes an absolute team to do it. And we have definitely some things and protocols in place and years and years and years of experience
Absolutely.
to address what can come across our waters. As far as how meds are used as a hobby, I think one of the first things I could ever say is, did you test your water? Did you test your water? And I worked retail 15 years, so you know where I'm coming from, because you can treat something, until you're blue in the face, but if you don't correct the water changes
Absolutely.
or parameters, which you usually
The costing of
the
it.
cost.
Yeah, figure out what it is that made the fish the way it is before you start treating it.
Yeah, so there are great meds out there, but I would say your water, it's just as important as getting the right med as getting your water corrected.
Yeah, and I can say I've used many different medicines. Some were great, and honestly, I've seen some people that swear by things that to me I didn't have a great experience with, but that just shows that, every medication can work. It just depends on how you use it, so I wouldn't say that any medication is really better than others. You just have to know how to use it properly. So
Kanamycin is kanamycin.
Yeah, exactly.
Kanamycin.
I would say same ingredients, different company.
And the age-old saying, "What works for me may not necessarily work for you." We have different waters.
Absolutely.
Different waters.
Absolutely.
Different waters,
Every
different
tank is a new
medications.
environment. So
Get that siphon out.
Yep. Don't be afraid to get dirty. And also when it comes to how we treat fish and stuff like that as well. With the lab staff that we have, they're walking through our building every day.
6,000 tanks.
And let's say they see a tank that doesn't, that something might just look off about the tank. It could be a fish swimming weird, or it could be a fish that looks like it might have something wrong. Then that whole tank goes on hold. It's not, they don't pull the fish, that whole entire tank will go on hold until they treat it accordingly and it gets taken care of. So, and regardless, all of our tanks get treated for the most part every single day.
And that's phenomenal. That is good to know. I promised you all I would hold this to an hour, and we have hit our hour. So I want to say thank you all again very much. For those of you that have joined us, thank you for showing up and participating in the chat. If you would do me a favor, Zen Ginger has been kind enough to post links throughout for the Instagram pages, YouTube page, Facebook page. I would encourage you all to go check them out. Sign up to follow and or subscribe depending upon the platform, because there are a lot of neat things that I've seen coming off of those pages, and some things in the works on those. So I would highly encourage that. But I'm going to shut the live stream off, and I will talk to you after that real quick. But I appreciate everybody for showing up. And again, thank you, Ryan and Shelby. It means a lot to me that you came on today.
Thanks for having us.
It was a great talk.
I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we will see you in the next stream. Thank you all.
Sounds
Yes,
good.
sir. Y'all have a great one.